The voice of sharing Durian ASEAN.
Hi, good morning. This is Arlene. Today we have Gauri here.
Yes, hi Arlene.
Hi, as my co-host. And also we have in the studio Anna Har from Pusat Komas. Hi.
Yes, hi.
She will also be joining us for the Blast from the Grassroots besides today's session for the top 10 ASEAN news. So first off, we have a news from the Star Online. It's about Obama. He said that U.S. is not bullying Malaysia. So U.S. President Barack Obama has denied that Washington is bullying Malaysia in the ongoing negotiation for the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. Instead, he said he himself was being bullied by his own Democratic Party on the PAC, while protests against the agreement was more due to the people being fearful of the future or have invested in the status quo. So, what do you think about this? He said that he's also in between, like being squashed by his own party to get the deal to push forward to other countries.
Yeah, it seems that, but Obama did admit that it's understandable that there would be objections, there would be protests, accusations of political conspiracies, which is not only true for US and Malaysia, but all the negotiating countries. Like, if you remember, there was also a huge demonstration in Philippines against the TPPA.
Mm-hmm. And the TPPA negotiation will involve Australia, Brunei, Chile, Canada, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, United States, and Vietnam. So a few Southeast Asian countries will be involved in this trade pact deal.
Yeah, but apparently Najib expressed confidence that the overall benefits of the TPPA would actually outweigh the disadvantages of the pact.
I don't know about it, but to me, the biggest problem, at least in my opinion, my point of view, is it is done in secrecy. That means we don't know what is the provisions within the trade pact. And what I know is some of the provisions are being leaked, some of the documents are being leaked by some the social media, but that's it. Like, we don't know the rest. What are the deals that were being agreed within the TPPA?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because as a normal layperson, or even if you will talk to my mother, what's TPPA,
Right.
So I think that's the main issue. It's not whether it's good or not, but there has to be discussion. And coming from America, land of free expression and everything, they should at least emphasize the need for public participation and discussion and agreement before the deal is signed. And I think the fact that he just say, his party is pushing him, is really doing that Tai Chi game that we're quite used to in
our
amongst
Malaysian
politicians.
politics. Yeah, that's true. The Tai Chi game. That's it.
Yeah, it's sad that, like what she said, America being the free country where they encourage freedom and of speech and all, they're not really engaging the public in this. It's being done by all the ruling committee, if I may. And a lot of people don't really know what TPPA is. So maybe I'll give them a brief introduction. So TPPA stands for the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, also known as the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership Agreement. It is a multilateral free trade agreement currently being negotiated by 11 countries, as you mentioned, all the countries just now. And it covers a broad spectrum of almost 29 chapters, 29 areas, affecting our public health, environment, court system. It is labeled as a trade agreement, but only 5 chapters are actually related to trade. So that's a brief introduction to what TPPA is.
And one of the key area about the purpose of TPPA is it really being done on the interest of the people or interest of multinational corporations? Because a lot of this trade agreement seems to be favoring big companies and corporations. So that's also another thing that people are fearful about.
And I think it's really interesting how Obama said that this TPPA would benefit us in achieving the wawasan 2020. Like,
I wonder how he's going to achieve it.
how did he even connect both of that?
He still hold on to his vision of 2020. So I think he wants it to achieve by hook or by crook, maybe with TPPA. But I think my main take on TPPA has to be transparent. Even the parliamentarians are, they have no clue like what is it for us. So in that sense, I think it's not about us seeing the US is bullying us. It is more about if you are interested in trading with us, just don't just deal with the government, but deal with the rest of the people as well.
Be honest with everybody and tell us what it's really about.
And I think the protest is not just centered around countries like Malaysia. Even developed countries like Japan and all that are also having their own, and also Australia.
New Zealand is against it as well.
Are having their own protests against the TPPA.
Can I just add in something?
Go ahead.
In my effort to understand what is TPPA, I went for a talk. And the scary thing was, it's not just about transparency, but actually when you find out the facts, it's quite scary. It actually gives power, if you sign it, to, say, the sign of independent body, which is made up of a few people, like a court, right? And say if we are in conflict with that TPPA that we signed, our government can be brought to that court. Okay, and it's not really a court made up of judges. It's maybe like 5 individuals that are picked out, and our country can be found guilty and then having to pay back millions.
Wow.
I'm saying really it's quite scary. It's like, okay, now we sign something that says, okay, we have to be like that,
Paying millions to corporations, is it?
To corporations mostly. So that's the scary part. And it seems that also that the one that will gain most from this whole TPPA thing is not America or different countries, but actually corporate lawyer who are charging millions to actually, to deal, to manage this case. So those are the so-called intricacies that, oh my God, it's just not about trade. It's about so many other things.
Very interesting. I think we need to have more conversation on TPPA and try to understand more, at a grassroots level. The next story is by the Star Online as well. It's about bad weather disrupts efforts to find bodies from ferries disaster. This is regarding on the news of the ferry disaster in South Korea. So concerns are growing among anguished families that the body of those who died in the sinking of the South Korean ferry may never be found, as search teams suspended work because of bad weather. And the looming storm and high tides put a temporary halt to operation to recover the remains of more than 100 people still missing over a week after a huge ferry capsized.
Yeah, I think we are entering the rainy season now, and there are storms, strong winds everywhere. So apparently over the weekend, they also been having strong winds and rain in the Jindo area, and that's making the efforts to locate the missing people very, very difficult. And there is a growing concern among the families that the bodies may never actually be found.
Yeah.
So the confirmed death toll as of yesterday will be 187, but as there are still 115 people who are missing, and we don't know what happened to them.
I saw, I think, a news by CNN, if I'm not mistaken, that showed that the sinking ship the death toll for the sinking ship could have been avoided. Yeah, because a similar ship sank also with of the same model in Japan, but no one died. The reason is because they said the South Korean ferry, they add additional rooms or structure to the boat and to the ship, and the ship can only accommodate a certain number of people, not until like 200 people or more.
Because it says here that they had 476 people on board.
Yeah.
So
it's just waiting for a time for it to sink. But one of the interesting part of this event is the Prime Minister resigned because he said that, I'm sorry that I that this thing happened. I couldn't deal with it, and I'm resigning.
Oh.
I don't know what's your take on that, but to me, it's also a show of principle. But at the same time, I also believe that a prime minister should, continue his task and not resign on the spot when, this problem is still happening just because a lot of pressure is put on him. So, that's the story of on the sinking ship. The next one is about Philippines and the U.S. assign a defense pact. So the Philippines and the United States signed an agreement on Monday to allow a bigger U.S. military presence on the Filipino territory, hours ahead of a visit to Manila by the U.S. President Barack Obama. And the Philippine Defense Minister Voltaire Guzman and U.S. Ambassador Philip Goldberg signed the 10-year pact, which is seen as another element, nevertheless, of Obama's effort to focus U.S. military and economic attention more heavily on Asia. So in this story, Obama said that the deal would see more U.S. troops rotate around Philippines to join military training exercise, but emphasis there will be no return of permanent American bases. So there will be more American presence in the Philippines. It seems like. What's your take on that?
I have a very bad feeling about this, actually, because the U.S. is known for having their troops and their military bases in a lot of countries all over the world, and it always doesn't end well. So.
But it says that greater cooperation between America and Filipino forces will enhance their ability to train, exercise, and operate with each other and respond even faster to a range of challenges. And I think this U.S.-Philippine defense pact, there's a reason for it, and I think it's more of a strategic reason. Strategic reason for it, and I think it's everything to do with China.
Yeah,
I mean, we
do
discussed
think that
earlier.
it has a connection with China,
because
China has been trying to assert its territories within the Philippines.
The South China Sea.
So do you think the U.S. is trying to protect Philippines from China in a way?
Mm-hmm. And I think in that sense, it's a good thing to have U.S. to sort of protect, if I have to put quote unquote, Philippines against China. But at the same time, I feel that for Southeast Asian nation, we should cooperate with each other better than hoping for foreign forces to help us.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think. Well, maybe we're not as advanced as America, but I think we are capable of taking care of ourselves. And I think if Philippines has a problem with China, they can always sort things out with the
ASEAN
leaders meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't need to have America to come in and meddle with this.
Mm-hmm. So the next news is also by the Star Online. It's about Myanmar jailing imams over fire. Two imams in Myanmar has been sentenced to 8 years in prison. That's a long time, isn't it? Mm-hmm. For negligence over a fire at a religious school and killed 13 boys, state media said. Around 70 children, some orphans, were sleeping in dormitories at a school inside a mosque complex in Yangon, where the blaze broke out in April last year. So the court in Yangon said that the fire was caused by overheating of an electrical regulator, and the door of the school was locked, according to the New Light of Myanmar newspaper yesterday. Yeah, and the victim died of suffocations when they were unable to escape. So this is a case of negligence by the two imams.
Yeah, that's right. And it's really shocking that the door was actually locked, and that prevented the students from escaping. Do you think that was merely negligence, or could it be...
You mean they purposely did that to their own students? I doubt that, but I think, they could have better ways of preventing the fire from spreading and killing people. So... It's a very unfortunate event. The next,
sorry,
Yeah,
but this
go
is
ahead.
coming from just relative. It's coming from a country that say if you were to pass out flyers of information, and it could be deemed illegal, and you could be put into jail for more than 30 years for passing flyers out. So maybe 8 years.
this is
It is for actually over a fire that killed 13 people.
Yeah, I guess it's a matter more of like, is this punishment meted out to everyone fairly, or is it just a certain group of people? I think that's more the case here.
That's true. And I think when it comes to political crimes, I would say, I don't know what to term that. Usually the government will be much more severe towards the punishment compared to like fire. I would say. The next news is about Brunei Times. It stated that efforts underway towards EU-Brunei Partnership Pact. Preparatory work for a partnership and cooperation agreement (PCA) between Brunei and the EU is underway. It was stated by the Dutch ambassador to Brunei. He said that there's some preparatory work going on in Brussels. It's a matter of time that it will be done. Jacques Warner told the Brunei Times during a recent interview. And the lion's share of the Brunei's foreign direct investment comes from the EU, specifically the UK and Netherlands, totaling $1.2 billion in 2011. So it seems like the European Union forming closer partnership pact with Brunei. And I think this is not very good because, Brunei is trying to implement the Sharia law, and for countries in Europe, they should be much more, they should be a country that uphold human rights and justice as their principle when it comes to trading with different partners. And for them to enhancing the partnership pact with Brunei, it seems like they don't really care that much about what's happening in terms of the law there.
Yeah, I guess it all goes back to their economic benefits maybe. But would you know about what are the ramifications of Brunei getting involved with the EU?
No, I'm not so into it. But it's kind of serious. But I think it's a pattern amongst all nations that the tendency would be to separate politics and human rights from trade. Okay. Even though sometimes, like say in America, they say like, okay, you need to have your human rights set out, then we will trade with you. But I think it's not a consistent pattern.
Right, it's probably not.
But what about with European Union? I'm sure they have stricter policy when it comes to dealing with countries.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, so I don't think I should comment. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, about the European Union, seems like they are working out on the partnership and cooperation between Brunei and, the total amount is 1.2 billion in 2011, so it will be much more this year. So
it seems that they've also negotiated with a couple of other Southeast Asian countries as well, like Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam. So this pact with Brunei is probably one of their first few steps to maybe gradually enter the Southeast Asian market.
Yeah, it seems so as well. Yeah. And the next one will be by the Straits Times. Singapore maintains a lead as the world top yuan clearing center after Hong Kong. Singapore has stayed ahead of London for the second straight month as the world's top offshore clearing center for the Chinese yuan. Latest data from payment network SWIFT showed on Monday, and yuan payment of the Republic jumped 375% in March from a year ago, putting it behind over China and Hong Kong in clearing yuan transaction. So now Singapore represents 6.8% of global yuan payment, behind Hong Kong at 72.4%. London represents 5.9%. While in June 2012, London overtook Singapore as the main yuan offshore clearing center after Hong Kong, but fell behind against in February this year. So this is a very dry story about yuan.
Very technical.
And so anyway, the gist of the headline is Singapore maintains lead as the world top yuan clearing center after,
And it's ahead of London.
and all the key capital city in the world. So the last one today is by Bangkok Post. Red Shirts plan major rally on May 6. Pro-government protesters of the United Fronts for Democracy Against Dictatorship, that's a very cute name, will stay on in Bangkok for major demonstration planned to start on May 6 on Aksa Road in the western outskirts of Bangkok. Mr. Saikur said that the red shirts would not cross the Chao Phraya River and enter the city proper, and asked anti-government protesters under the People's Democratic Reform Committee to also not cross the river to their side. Very interesting.
Yeah,
They have
and,
they will be having a major rally, and the way they say it is like, okay, this is our side, that's your side.
So I think
Don't cross the river.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there are the two types of protesters in what you call Bangkok, the red shirts and the blue shirts. So this is actually by the red shirts who are pro-government protesters. So we don't know how long this rally is actually gonna last. It depends on the situation and the ruling of the Charter Court, according to Mr. Natawut, and whether it brings justice or not. But the red shirts are definitely ready to stay for months, as long as 6 months if necessary.
But what is the main agenda of this rally for the May 6th?
Well, I mean, they are pro-government protesters, so they are trying to go against the dictatorship in Bangkok.
So I don't think they're pro-government. The two groups, the blue group would be the so-called royalists, or and then the red one I thought would be more like anti the government now. Is it? No? Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, but the interesting thing is my friend in Thailand, she shared with me that it's things are so intense and heated up there, and this whole my side, your side is really serious.
Oh, okay.
And it's affecting like relationships and friendships, and even like say if you're not on any side, you are kind of forced to take a side.
Wow.
I see.
And they're really serious, and if you're not on their side, you're on the other side. And sometimes like when you go on the street, you have to carry like a symbol of both in case you need to sit on a taxi or something. You just show this and you're allowed. So it's kind of
It's very partisan. Very
it's
partisan.
It's only this side or that side. There's no middle path for.
But I think having partisan politics is quite dangerous in any country, because what you want to, I mean, you should choose side when it comes to issues, not when it comes to political parties, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's now a serious problem of there's no discussion or middle line or complexity. There's no more room to talk because everybody is so intense, and I don't think that's healthy at all.
Yeah, it's not healthy. Anything that would divide society will not be healthy. Even with issues with two different, I mean, even if they carry two different issues, have two different views, they should, try to compromise and see what's the best agenda for this nation, rather than say, oh, are you on my side or are you on their side?
So you were saying just now about the red shirt and blue shirt. Can you repeat that? Maybe I'm the one who's not clear.
Yeah, we're all not very. I think the red shirt is the one that was supposedly like pro-Thaksin, and the one that's trying to depose the Prime Minister Yingluck government now. Whereas the other one that's now blue shirt, I think they were yellow before.
Right.
Now they take the symbol of the flag, so I think now they're red, blue. They take the symbol of the flag, and I think they're more like royalist kind of party.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not like pro-opposition.
Who the royalists? I mean the blue party.
The royalists.
Actually, I'm not very sure,
Oh,
but I think they're like more like into the king.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I guess they are more traditional in terms of, or conservative. Should I say that?
I think they're more like I heard that they're more like Bangkok centric. That I read some newspaper.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, McDonald's wants to say something. Yeah, this is a kind of like from before in the politics of in Thailand, that there are these so-called maybe warlords or very powerful people in Bangkok that actually controls a lot of the things that happen, and the government and the economics and stuff like that. So now with the red shirts and stuff like that, that's sort of like it had diluted their power. So now they're trying to consolidate, but they're standing behind the banner of the king, which is so popular. I mean, you can't question the king. How can you even question so-called the party or the faction that is using the flag and the king as your
So
symbol?
they are using the divinity of the king to protect their
Sounds a bit unfair.
the legitimacy of their own party or their interests as well. Yeah, but we don't really know much about what kind of issues or agenda they carry forward to the Thai people, isn't it? It's more like, are you on my side or their side?
Yeah, I mean, it also says a lot about, say, Malaysians.
Yeah, it
like
says
me,
a lot about
and
Malaysian politics as well.
We really still depend, I mean, for news that are not in our country, we really depend on just the newspaper, mainstream stuff, and we just read and then we get a rough idea, but we seldom kind of delve into it unless, say, we have friends or someone, there.
Yeah.
I think you're right about the. Did you say the royalist? Yeah, because I found a news here that says the red shirts are saying that it's time to get rid of the elite. So I guess you're right about the blue shirts. They are the royalist elite. Part of
I just saw a really nice video sent to me by a Thai friend of the kind of people that are so-called supporting the royalist parties.
Okay.
And they're like these rich yuppies, and they bring their Ferraris.
Wow.
Ferrari is supposed to be red usually, right? And this is not red because he doesn't support the red party.
Right.
And he bring his Ferrari to the demonstration.
Okay.
So these are kind of like young people, and there are quite a lot, that are very passionate about their politics.
Okay.
Young, rich Thai people, you mean?
Yeah.
Wow, it's very divided. I think it also shows the inequality of the country. If I'm mistaken, a few weeks ago, there's an article published in the Bangkok Post stated that Thailand is the most unequal society in Southeast Asia, followed by I think Cambodia and then Malaysia and Singapore.
Oh, I find that hard to believe.
Thai is the most unequal society in Southeast Asia, and probably that also reflect in the partisan politics there. Anyway, thanks Gauri, and also thanks Anahar for participating in our discussion, news discussion on Top 10 ASEAN News. We'll continue again for the blast from the grassroots.